All right, today we're going to tackle a really complex and honestly pretty devastating topic: autoimmune diseases. This is a story about a war from within, where the very system that's designed to protect you becomes your own worst enemy. I mean, just think about that for a second. What if your body's most elite, highly trained security force, the one built to defend you from everything, suddenly turned its weapons on you? That's the terrifying reality at the very heart of every single autoimmune condition. So here's how we're going to walk through this. We'll start by defining what this civil war actually is. Then we're going to look at all the different ways this war gets fought. Sometimes it's a communication breakdown, other times it's an attack on your body's very foundation, or a shutdown of its critical factories. We'll even cover a war on all fronts. And finally, we'll talk about what it's like to live with an enemy that you can never ever truly defeat. Okay, so let's start with the hero of the story, or at least who's supposed to be the hero: your immune system. I mean, this thing is an incredibly sophisticated, powerful network. Its entire job is just to keep you safe. But what happens when that hero goes rogue? Well, that brings us right to our first stop: defining this internal betrayal, this civil war that's happening inside the body. So here it is, the core of the problem. In an autoimmune disease, that highly trained security team gets confused. It completely loses its ability to tell the difference between a foreign invader and, well, you. It starts flagging your own healthy cells as threats and then launches an all-out attack. So, how does this internal war even get started? Well, a lot of the time, it begins by sabotaging the body's own communication lines. A perfect and devastating example of this is multiple sclerosis, or MS. Just imagine your nerves are like perfectly insulated electrical wires, carrying crystal clear signals from your brain. Well, in MS, the immune system comes in and systematically rips that insulation right off. And what happens? The signals get scrambled, they short circuit, or sometimes they just don't arrive at all. Myasthenia gravis is another one of these communication breakdowns. Here, the immune system decides to block the messengers between your nerves and your muscles. So your brain is sending out the order: blink your eyes, chew your food, take a step, but that message gets intercepted. The muscles, they just never get the command. This quote from one of the sources just captures the cruel, twisted logic of the disease so well. The more you try to use a muscle, the weaker it gets. I mean, it's a condition that completely flips our whole understanding of how our bodies are supposed to function. It's just a slap in the face. Okay, next up, let's look at diseases that go beyond just scrambling signals. These ones attack the very physical foundation of the body. We're talking joints, skin, and connective tissues. Rheumatoid arthritis is just a brutal, relentless attack on the joints. You know, if a healthy joint is like a well-oiled machine, RA is what happens when your own body starts throwing sand and pebbles right into the gears. Every single movement becomes stiff, painful, and it just grinds everything down. Now, scleroderma is a different kind of structural attack. In this case, the immune system just goes haywire and forces the body to produce way too much collagen. Now, collagen is the glue that holds us together, right? But too much of it is an absolute disaster. And one source puts it so vividly: it's like someone filled your body with concrete instead of moisturizer. This overproduction of collagen actually causes the skin and even internal organs to harden and stiffen. It literally turns flexible, living tissue into something rigid and totally unyielding. And then there's pemphigus vulgaris, which is, honestly, it's the stuff of nightmares. With this disease, the immune system directly attacks the proteins that glue our skin cells together. The result is that your skin literally unglues itself, forming these huge, painful blisters and peeling away, which leaves the body dangerously open to infection. But the betrayal doesn't stop with structures. Sometimes the immune system goes after the body's most critical production centers, the factories that create essential hormones and regulate our most vital systems. Take type 1 diabetes. Here, the immune system wages war on the pancreas. It specifically targets and destroys the cells that produce insulin. So once that insulin factory is shut down, the body can't process sugar. This forces a person into this lifelong minute-by-minute balancing act, turning every single meal into a science experiment of injections and blood tests. Hashimoto's is kind of like a corporate coup happening inside your body. See, your thyroid, it's the CEO of your metabolism and energy. Well, in this disease, the immune system storms the building, overthrows the CEO, and then just slowly dismantles the entire operation. The result? Your body's left running on fumes, like it's operating on Windows 95, leading to this crippling fatigue, weight gain, depression, the whole shebang. So now we get to the guerrilla fighters of the autoimmune world. These are diseases that don't just pick one target, oh no. They can launch surprise attacks absolutely anywhere in the body. Lupus is notorious for this. It's why they call it the great imitator. It is just so unpredictable. One day it's attacking the joints, the next day it could be your skin or your kidneys or even your brain. It's just this relentless system-wide assault that has no clear pattern, which makes it incredibly hard to diagnose and to manage. And with vasculitis, it's like the immune system's GPS just completely breaks down. It identifies your body's entire circulatory system, the highways and roads for your blood, as the enemy. So it starts attacking blood vessels, anywhere and everywhere, which can cause blockages, organ damage, or far worse. And it all boils down to this really chilling reality, which is captured perfectly in this quote. When the attack can come from any direction, at any time, your entire body just becomes the battlefield in a war that never, ever really ends. So, this brings us to the really tough part. What does it actually mean to live day in and day out when your own body has betrayed you? And this is maybe the most important thing to understand. For these diseases, there is no off switch. There is no cure. Treatment isn't about winning the war. It's about damage control. The entire goal is to use these powerful drugs to try and convince your own immune system to just chill out a little, to slow down the assault. And that's the question we're left with, isn't it? It just perfectly captures the physical and the psychological struggle of millions of people. How do you fight a war when the enemy is you? It's a constant battle for control, for normalcy, and for some kind of peace in a body that has declared war on itself. Thanks for joining me for this one.